Stereo Music exclusive.
I grew up like a savage.
And stick to the plan, and that stigma really, stuck with the industry.
I still say I have a philosophy because I've talked to Seaside Stretch a lot, and he's a great manager, and we talk about these type of things, right? Mm-hmm. And I always think too, like sometimes even with management, when they figure out there's nothing there to manage, like when it becomes too much, like when the pros, because Short could kind of run that shit by itself. But he can put people in position to say, "Hey, bro, I need you to do this.
Yeah,
I need you to
gotta have that."
40 can almost just do this shit seamlessly by himself.
You see, because he has that knowledge, he has that independent game. See, that's the one thing that we have the advantage on a lot of people in the industry. We know how to sell records from selling it independently.
Right.
So we understand a lot, and I think that might be some of the reason why it hurts us a little bit, because we know so much.
Yeah,
and we don't know enough about their part of the business.
Maybe they think they know too much and don't know shit.
Well, we know how to sell records.
Right.
We know how to sell records, but we don't understand the business of selling records, meaning how the publishing and the writers and splits and all that go. We didn't understand none of that. We only understood one way of selling records, which is you buy my CD.
That's it.
But there's so many different other avenues to make money off a record that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. And this new generation, they caught it, because they got platforms to teach them. But
so when Rich gets this opportunity with Tina Davis, like does it kind of like for you? Does it kind of like everything disappears? Like you don't know, you kind of like left in the dark.
Yeah, I'm left all the way in the dark.
So you wasn't privy to no meetings. You wasn't privy to.
I knew about some meetings. One of the songs they had a meeting about was a song that I wrote. I actually wrote the music and the hook for Sibo, and Sibo went to jail at that time.
I know it. That's G's Get to Go to Heaven.
Yeah. And they had a meeting about that, and I got left out of that meeting. That's when I knew something. It was things.
But you was
going
still
on.
Down in LA?
We was in LA together, and I was left out in the lobby.
Right.
And they went in the back office and had a meeting
about
the whole video.
You was back up here and he went back down or something.
Yeah. Daryl, man, hold the fuck on.
Yeah.
Hold the fuck on. Wait a minute.
Because I definitely had to clarify that.
You're there.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, it was the same day we were hooked up with Tupac. We hooked up with Tupac on Venice Beach.
Okay.
The day you did the interview with the white lady.
Yeah. Yep. That same day, Rich and Tina them had a meeting about G's Get to Go to Heaven. And I know this is my song, but see, I didn't know that Rich took the song and had Mike Mosley redo it. So they having a meeting. They had a meeting about the video.
So G's Get to Go to Heaven is ultimately becomes ode to Tupac, right? And he was alive when the song was made.
It had nothing to do with Tupac.
Wow!
When Tupac died,
they sold it as a Tupac.
Yeah, when
tribute.
Tupac died, they dedicated it to him. But that song was originally made for Sibo, because Sibo had lost one of his homies in a shootout in Sac. And I was like, I was working with Sibo at that time.
Yeah,
that's how I was making money. You gotta understand.
Okay.
I'm working in the studio with Rich for years.
Okay.
I'm not making no money going to the studio with him. I'm not selling no beats to him. I'm like, this is us being a team. We've been
doing it like this. Yeah.
Right. This is being a team. So I'm making my money with Sibo and Marvelous and Juice and other artists throughout the Bay Area. So Bo, I remember he coming to my mom's house one time, her apartment, and was telling me about he just lost one of his homies, Cue Ball, I think it was, something like that. And I said, okay, when Bo come back, I'm gonna shock him with this. I'm gonna have this track for him, and I had a hook already laid out. The G's Get to Go to Heaven, but he went to jail.
Okay.
Damn.
So, and I played it for Rich, and I spit the hook for him and told him about it, and he was like, "Ooh, that's dope."
You need that?
I need that. So I gave it to him. I said, okay, well, when Bo come on, I gotta have something else.
Being a team player,
because at the time everybody thought Rich was gonna be
the one. Yeah.
So everybody wanted him to win. I wanted him to win. You know what I'm saying? So
we win.
We win. So I'm giving him everything that I think that's gonna help him. and that was one of the ones. And the beat was dope. It was a little more up tempo than what he had Mike Mosey did, but he tossed the beat and kept the hook and had Mike Mosby do it.
So after the day when you was left in the lobby, did you go to any other meetings?
Well, no, I knew then that was it. I said,
felt that vibe was
I
off.
felt the vibe was all off. So
who else was with Rich though?
Lippert,
Okay.
his homeboy Lippert, and I had one of my homeboys, Insane Dame. He changed his name to Hakeem. I had one of my homeboys.
So Lippert was acting as Rich's manager.
So I guess in a way, you know, they was, you know, he was helping him. He wanted
So I
Rich
thought
to
it
win
was
too.
3 of y'all on the beat today, so it was 4 of y'all. Rich had his boy and you had your boy.
Right, because we ended up going to Death Row Studios and hooking up with Pac and them.
Right.
So Pac was signed to Death Row at the time.
Yeah.
And but prior to that, right? So Rich, so in between that time, okay, y'all go to Death Row, hook up with Pac, but around what time did Rich actually sign the Def Jam and you figured it out?
Well, I think they had already did the deal because they was just, you know, I think Rich was just getting all the music and all the
So they was just figuring out the logistics.
Yeah.
So but it wasn't clear to you, like, look,
No,
I got this
nothing
deal,
was
nigga,
clear to
need-
me. I was done once that meeting. I didn't even care no more after
You
that
just
meeting.
checked out. You like, I need to go do me.
Yeah, so
But before that meeting, did you feel like your phone's ringing less from Rich and them? Like, did you even feel that before that? For them to even lead up to leaving you in the
That's a
lobby
good
like
question.
that?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember that time because I remember Lev being real hurt. You know, we was sitting in his kitchen one day and he was like, "Man, Rich left us bad. He moved to LA, this, that." But I think that's when Rich was all the way in with Def Jam and he moved to LA.
And we got to explain, of course, at the time, Def Jam was sinking.
Yeah,
So they was moving out west.
Yeah,
they had
that's what they had. That's what offers with Def Jam West.
They grabbed Warren G, and they allowed Warren G to not only get a deal, but kind of like a label deal. He had the Dove Shack. He had the Five Footers.
Yeah.
He had a couple of groups, a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah,
acts.
yeah.
And they was letting Warren G have his way.
I think they was gonna do the same for Rich, but Rich just, you know, he just wanted to get himself situated with him first.
And then so Rich drops this video for West Side. Let's Ride.
That's right, yeah.
The most amazing thing about this, and it's not just, you know, that, you know, he's a great figure, but I can't remember Russell Simmons being in anybody's video.
Yeah, Russell was in the video.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was going on, but I said maybe they trying to.
They believed in Rich.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of people believed in Rich that he was gonna be the one. You know.
Yeah.
Who produced it? That's right.
I don't know. It was somebody that I think the Gov, one of his partners, somebody that he found, and a producer. It was dope though.
Yeah,
It was a dope track.
It was dope. It was a dope track. That album, Seasoned Veteran, was dope. I felt like, you know, it was missing some elements, and just me as a critic, it would be because of what we didn't hear before, like probably you, right? So
yeah, cause see, I had a few tracks on there. I didn't. Be honest with you, I think a lot of tracks that was on Half Thing probably should have went to Seasoned Veteran.
Exactly.
You know,
they could have swapped some of them out.
Yeah.
He would have had a classic.
But I understood what Rich was doing. You gotta understand, this was his first major record, and he was trying to go outside what the Bay Area was known for. He was trying to reach other places, East Coast, what you know,
trying to reach other
he's trying to
markets.
reach other markets. So he was trying different things with that.
What was that sounding like to you at the time? The other markets he was trying to reach.
I mean, it's fun. It's kind of scary when you get that major behind you. You want to do good, so you don't really know what you should do.
What is that?
Him sound like him trying to close the gate.
No. You don't really know what to do, you know. So a lot of the songs I heard, they was still dope, but it wasn't the classic sound that people was expecting to hear from Rich.
Right.
But it was still a dope record.
Yeah, and even the record with T-Boz, I mean, I like that joint. Jermaine Dupri is a great producer.
Yeah.
We all know that, but it was different.
It was different. I think that record could have still been what he was rapping about. She still could have been on it, but it probably still needed that Oakland sound.
That element.
Yeah.
Because he was still talking that talk.
Right. Because see, what I tell people today, that sound never hit mainstream.
Yeah.
And that could have been the time for it right there.
Right.
For it to hit mainstream.
What would you call that sound? Did you ever come in there?
That sound, what Rich was doing that right on that record?
No. Your sound.
Oh, it's my music all the way.
We skipped over an era, right? We skipped over "Keep Your Head Up."
Mm-hmm. That was right after Rich. That was right after 415, I should say.
Right after 415.
Before Richie Rich solo project.
Before Richie Rich. And how did that happen? Like Pop contacts you. Now this is
no, we in the studio together. Look, Starlight, when we leaving out, Digital Underground coming in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he come in here, he hear the tracks that's playing, he like, who did this,
Because you was in a separate studio, but Pac could be going studio to studio?
No, what it is, Pac was with Digital Underground.
Right.
I didn't know who he was. Apparently Rich knew who he was, but I didn't even know he was a rapper. And he coming in, when Shock G and Money B, they coming in, getting ready to set up while we about to
okay, y'all had to use the exact same room.
Yeah, same. It was only one. It was only one star. It was only one room. So we packing up. But when you leave and you playing the last little stuff that you. So he heard it. He was like, "Man, it's dope. When I get my deal, man, I want you to do my album." And I'm like, "Okay, for sure." I didn't know who he was though. I didn't even know he was a rapper. And sure enough, when he got his deal, he didn't reach out to me when he got his deal. He didn't have creative control. He was still under Shock G and all them. Mm-hmm. And that first album was Tupacalypse Now. But when he got his foot, when he got able to get a little creative control, for sure we locked in. It's crazy because he stayed right around the corner from me, not far from me. We stayed over there by the lake.
By the lake, yeah.
And
they do tours with that apartment.
Yeah. So he came to my house. And we're gonna go to Berkeley and we just gonna go through some CDs and find different CDs that I want to use for sampling.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so we took a whole day and we just bought all the CDs that we wanted. He had just bought some equipment. We went to his house and did pre-production. And we laid out.
Kind of hard to catch his style because he's not. No,
because see, we had already worked on a record together with the Gov.
Okay.
We did a project with the Gov and Tupac rapped on the song "Gaffo Like That," mm-hmm. And that was the first time I actually heard him spitting something that wasn't pro-black.
Right.
Okay, this boy got it. Yeah. He came over there and rapped. So I knew what he was. But see, the thing is, and this is what I tell people sometimes too, before I work with him, Tupac knew what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? So he would sit down with me. He's like, Daryl, we need a record that everybody gonna accept. Mm-hmm. Females, males, everybody gonna accept. And he was pushing. He had two songs he was pushing for. Keep Your Head Up and Backstabbers. He was pushing hard for me to put something together for those two. And we never did the Backstabber song because I just didn't like the way it felt. It didn't feel like nothing.
Yeah,
it's too much like the original song. So Keep Your Head Up was like, okay. And there's a whole story I want to save on how we put that record together.
Okay. Keep Your Head Up.
Yeah, but when we did it, as soon as we heard it, we knew it was a hit.
It's two samples in there, right? Mm-hmm. So it's ooh child.
Yeah, so that's crazy because that was an actual sample at first, and it just wouldn't fit.
It wouldn't fit.
So he was like, I told him, I said, man, we need somebody to sing that, and he was like, I got somebody. So he called up his boy, Black Angel, which happened to be Dave Hollister, and he came in.
Is that right? What the fuck? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn. Where the fuck was Dave Hollister at?
In LA. In LA.
And you know what's crazy? So, and also, again, we talk about those that shit that slapped out here, right? Mm-hmm. That 415 music before niggas was even on rap. We talking about Zapp and Roger, right? Mm-hmm. shit, I grew up with all the dope boys listening to, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
All Right.
Exactly.
And that motherfucking song ride out for about 11 minutes. You know
It's
what I'm
a long
saying?
song,
you,
yeah.
you can ride to that motherfucker. You know, by the time you play that shit twice, you done went somewhere.
Man, I made that song, man, I kid you not, with a broken keyboard.
Wow.
And my drum machine, because see, we recorded that whole album in LA.
Okay.
And all I was able to bring with me on the plane was my SB 1200. And so when I got to the studio, they didn't have no equipment. They just had to record. They just had the stuff that you record on, the mix board and all that stuff. And they had a old keyboard sitting in the corner that was out of tune. And I needed to play the bass line to go over the sample. And every time I was playing it was out of key. I was like, and I couldn't find a way to play it out of key, in key. So I was like, I told the engineer to speed the tape up or either slow it down, one or the other.
Right.
And it fell right in place the way I was playing it. And the engineer was like, man, I never thought of that.
That's crazy.
But that's some stuff I learned working with doing
Shit,
the
that
415.
sound like Kanye soul sample, right? Like that's the same shit. You know, and it's crazy because I heard Just Blaze say that, like for Cameron's Old Boy, he was really sampling a different part of the song. It was supposed to say "Oh Baby," but
And
somehow he skipped something and said "Oh Boy." And I was like, "That's it."
Well, I was pressured.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I want to say the story for something else, but
Okay.
I was pressured to make that song be the one.
Be the one.
I'm gonna I'll tell you off camera, but I had to tell you what.
Okay.
I was being impressed by it, but and so once Dave Hollister came and put his thing on it, we all kind of sat back in the studio and was just listening to it and just you could tell this is the one.
That you got Writer of the Year for that.
Yeah, I got
award
a writer's award for it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. And
That's dope.
I think I heard something back in the day where you said Yo-Yo was in that session.
Yeah, that's the story I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my bad. Okay. We gonna say.
So I'll go ahead and tell it since I was gonna say, but
And Tupac and Yo-Yo had a romance at some point.
At some point,
Yeah,
I didn't know nothing about it.
Okay.
So we in the studio, right? The Studio A and Studio B. Yo-Yo got Studio A, and she in there with DJ Pooh.
Okay.
And I'm familiar with Pooh. I'm like, this
Right.
dude, this is the dude that did Gorillas in the
Yeah,
Mist.
man,
Ice
he's
Cube,
dope.
he's dope.
Yeah.
So Tupac and Yo-Yo going in and out of sessions, each other's sessions. I'm working on the beat, Pooh working on her beat.
Okay.
Pac come back in there and say, hey, Daryl, they using the same beat we using. I'm like, what you mean they using the same beat? So I go in there, the same sample. All right. He over there piecing together for her.
Wow.
So it turned into like a competition almost, like who gonna come out with the dopest song?
That's crazy.
And
That's crazy.
that's why I was pressed to, and then I'm working with a broke keyboard at the same time.
It is safe to say that DJ motherfucking Daryl won that competition.
Listen, after the song was done, Pooh came over there and was like, he gave me daps like, man, you did this one.
Yeah,
You did
that
this one.
motherfucker crazy.
He need his own genius
Man.
episode.
He pulled me to the side, pulled out a duffel bag full of dats, and started playing me all kind of stuff he had did.
Yeah,
He wanted me to know.
Like
You got this one, but
Yeah.
I done did some stuff.
I got some fire, too.
Yeah, he played a bunch of Ice Cube fire for me. I was like, whoa.
I'm just trying to stay racked up like you.
Put an 8 in a 1 and do magic. Tryna stretch hair on like elastic. Eco-friendly drug dealer, I don't waste no plastic. Use all 4 corners of that baggie. All I ever wanted was a bankroll. So I pull up on Champ before the bank close. Say no to stank hoes and stank clothes. No paramedic pimping nigga